It was a total of 53 days.
Yes. Well, first of all, they started off asking for a ransom which was completely out of any hope of us being able to pay it.
How much was
Well,
that?
several million pounds. I mean, over £3 million, to be, the equivalent of over £3 million. And they were a long time before they realized that they had got to reduce their demands. And as a sort of psychological warfare. At one stage of the incident, they waited 10 days without getting in touch with my family. And at another moment, I think they were 20 or 21 days without calling. So naturally, you can imagine the feeling of my family and my friends with all this time with no news whatsoever. They even didn't know whether I was alive and so on.
And what was the final ransom paid?
Well, I don't really think I'm at liberty to say, but it has been published fairly accurately. There have been some variations, but at any rate it was considerably less than was originally estimated. Originally demanded, rather.
What were what was the purpose of the kidnappers with this money that they were?
To raise funds, which I was told by several of them was purely and simply to buy arms and explosives, preparing for the eventual civil war within the Argentine. They were, I couldn't find out, none of them would tell me what particular organization they belonged to. They inferred that they worked very closely with ERP, and I got the impression that they could have been a mixture from different groups that have existed.
Such as the Peronist guerrilla groups?
Could have been, yes.
And?
Could even been some of the Tucumans. Could have been.
Tucumanos from Uruguay.
Tucumanos, it could have been. I don't know. I got the impression that there was a relatively new group formed from several old groups. They said, as I say, they were very closely associated with ERP. And their ambition is to implant in the Argentine a system similar to Cuba. They were very much in favor of the Cuban and the Chinese system, not so much the Russian. They seemed to think that Russia had gone rather bourgeois and...
And how did they feel about General Perón and his campaign for the presidency?
They, well, I wouldn't say they were Peronistas.
No.
I think they want to go much quicker than say that the present government would indicate. We had long arguments where I said they should have... I sympathized with the fact that they wished to have better social services in the Argentine, which undoubtedly we are a long way behind, such as medical services and homes, unemployment help, and proper pensions and so on. All these things should undoubtedly be much more advanced than they are in the Argentine. But I thought we could do this through evolution rather than revolution. And I made a particular point of explaining that in England, which they all look upon as the capitalist country and the imperialist country, although perhaps in second place today to the USA, and in that country they had, today England was very definitely a socialist country where you had all these services which were really efficient and which had been obtained without any bloodshed. And simply by evolution, by the fact that people realized that with each generation things change, and today a wealthy country cannot allow this misery that does exist in many countries. But I say they wish to go back right to the beginning and do as Castro did.
With a violent revolution.
With a violent revolution, yes. Now I believe that I must say I think they have a certain idealism amongst themselves. They did, in fact, several of them did mention that they themselves only allowed themselves the equivalent of 80,000 old pesos a month per head to live, apart from any rent they had.
How much would that be in pounds?
Well, I'll have to work it out later. But at any rate, they, well, you can take it at 2,500 to the pound. So they talk of 80,000 a month, 80,000 pesos a month. And
about 30 pounds a month.
How much?
30, wouldn't it be?
Good. You're the one with the brain.
You're the financier.
Anything over that, they put into a kitty to support those who were out of work, the members that were out of work, or those who, as they call, clandestinos, the ones who were, say, fugitives from justice, and they were having to look after and keep. All right.
Terminamos.
Lo cierro el micrófono de eso. ¿Eh?
Mr. Lockwood, you were kidnapped on June 6th. Did you have any warning this would happen? How were you treated? Why did they keep you so long? What was the purpose of all this money that they wanted? No recuerdo. I don't remember the exact